Good morning, Illini, and welcome back to another Healthy Illini. I'm Matt Schrock, and I'm glad you're joining me today for the next 20 minutes or so. We're in full swing into fall and the fall semester, and the days are getting shorter and the cooler temps, and right now the rain is never ending. But with that, we're talking about seasonal affective disorder. So I invite you to stay a while and listen. Today I'm joined by two of our employees here at McKinley Health Center, and I'm glad they're here to talk about this topic. First is Murata Ritter. She has a master's in nursing and is the administrative nurse in the mental health unit here at McKinley. Murata, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And second up, we welcome back Kaylee Haney. She was here for our stress management episode a few weeks ago, and she has a master's in social work and is the care manager in the mental health unit here at McKinley. Welcome back, Kaylee.
Thank you.
So today we're talking about a topic that a lot of people have heard of or are slightly familiar with, but they might not know a whole lot about it, and that is seasonal affective disorder. So let's start there. In general, what is seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, or SAD for these purposes?
That's a great question. Just as we were talking earlier, Matt, the term SAD I feel like is used widely, and I really wanted to talk about that versus the winter blues. So seasonal affective disorder, just to start here, the actual diagnosis in the DSM-5 is major depressive disorder with seasonal pattern. So I wanted to mention that because I wanted to reiterate it's a depressive disorder. It's a part of that. What it looks like is really, really similar and common to somebody experiencing depression throughout, all seasons of the year. But especially when it comes to this winter time, so starting like in the fall, sometimes late fall, basically when the sunlight hours decrease, and then it improves when the sunlight hours increase, meaning when it gets darker more often, more of these symptoms come up, and then when after the time changes, the symptoms improve. So that's where that is different from regular depressive disorders or major depressive disorder. It's just that time sensitivity there.
So the symptoms are brought on by the change in light, basically. Are the symptoms different from seasonal affective disorder to depression, or is it mainly the cause that separates the two?
Great question. I would say mainly the cause. The symptoms are really similar. Depressed mood, loss of interest, appetite change, different in your sleep pattern, difficulty thinking or concentrating, and loss of energy. And again, mainly these symptoms at such a level that impacts you so significantly that you are unable to function in some sort of manner, meaning, you can't maybe even get out of bed during these times, again, these times of the, fall to spring period, where that you notice you're calling in sick a lot or unable to do things that you once were able to do, well. And that's kind of where that changes from.
That was going to be my next question. Mm-hmm. Really, I was going to follow up with that. Is that you mentioned earlier that the difference between SAD and the winter blues, because most people, and I shouldn't say most, a lot of people feel those winter blues just when the light gets darker, the days get longer. You're starting your day in the dark, you're ending your day in the dark with work or school or whatever it may be. And so what you kind of described, the difference between the winter blues and SAD is the level of function, maybe? Is that correct?
Yep, how it basically impacts you in your level of functioning. If you get to that point, like I said, especially myself, I'm not a big fan of when it's not sunny, but yet I still live here in Illinois. So, and that's my own choice. But, I personally don't really care for when it's dark all the time. And I know, talking to family, friends, and coworkers are the same way. They're like, oh, it's going to be dark all the time. And, we kind of dread that. But there's that dread, but then, and you have that dread about, having the lower sunlight hours or the less sunlight hours. And, I don't love it and I don't like it. And, I don't like, going to work, it's dark, leaving work, it's dark. But then there's a point where it just impacts your functioning so much that like you're so impaired that you can't do much of what you're able to do, you know, beforehand. So that's where that kind of, you know, plays a part where, yeah, most of us get winter blues of like, A, it's also really very cold, and B, the sunlight and not having that as much exposed light to you is different than how it basically impacts you. So yeah.
So if a person, if a student especially, because you're talking about level of function, but let's face it, college, a lot of time you function at a level that you probably can't staying anyway with late night studying, with, you know, going out with friends. Mm-hmm. College is kind of a crazy time to try and figure out your level of function anyway.
Very much
but
so.
But if someone does see that the darkness is starting to impact something, starting to feel more than just down, more than just I'm tired, more than just I'm stressed, but it's really starting to affect some things negatively, what do you do? What's the next step here? Is it, you know, are there things you do? You just kind of deal with it yourself and figure out, or do they need to go talk to somebody about these kinds of things?
That's a great question. You know, especially being in the mental health field, it's always better to ask questions and seek help than to try to deal with something on your own, no matter what it is, you know, seasonal affective disorder or not. You know, it's always best to reach out and to ask questions, to get help, just to do, you know, a quick assessment with a mental health professional or something like that. So yeah, we definitely encourage students especially, but anyone to reach out and get help, because the sooner you do, the better, you know, your functioning might improve.
With that, seasonal affective disorder is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, because I was diagnosed with it in high school, and it was something that when those winter blues hit, they hit hard for me. If I'm not careful about it, if I'm not aware of it, I get real lethargic. I just don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. I don't have any energy. All those things. And even back then, there was a treatment that I had heard of. My parents had heard of, and we kind of talked to somebody about. That's really what I want to talk about today, because there's lots of things, lots of options. We could talk about a lot of treatments, but I want to talk about one in particular, and that's light therapy. So if somebody hears the term light therapy or hears a light therapy box, what does that mean?
So I'm glad you brought that up. Light therapy is really just an artificial version of natural sunlight, and that is accomplished through a light box. So there's different versions of light boxes out there. There's actually quite a few now as this treatment has evolved significantly. But you want to pay close attention to the type of light and the amount of light that it's emitting. So you want to have a higher emission rate of light, but you want to also make sure that it's that it is decreasing the UV light that is also emitted, and that is one thing to pay close attention to.
Does any light work, or do you need to? Is it? I mean, does any light work, or do you need to have something that's specially geared towards this?
So typically you're going to need something specially geared toward this. Indoor lighting is typically not sufficient enough to notice a difference, as that's typically what our bodies are already used to, is that natural indoor exposure. So you're going to want something that's specifically geared towards light therapy, that has that higher volume of light that's emitted, and that is decreasing the emission of the UV rays.
And okay, so let's say you get this special light. College students are busy, so are we talking about sitting and staring at a box for 30 minutes? What is, are you staring at the light? Are you carrying it around with you? What is it? How does this actually kind of look?
So the nice thing about the light box is that it doesn't take very long. It just takes more consistency than anything.
Okay.
It's really effective first thing in the morning because it triggers your melatonin in your body to let you know that it's time for your melatonin to decrease so that your body can wake up and stay awake. So 15 minutes every day, first thing when you get up, or maybe on your lunch break, just 15 minutes every day consistently is what's needed to notice a difference.
So you could be studying, and it could be sitting beside you, and just kind of aimed at you. Is that
correct? Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, or on your bedside table first thing in the morning, turn it on before you even get out of the bed in the morning.
Okay. Is this a standalone treatment? Is this something that you just is this the treatment for seasonal depressive affective disorder? Is it in conjunction with other things? Can you do it on your own? Do you need? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of this. Do you need to have, or is it best to be in conjunction with a provider that you're talking to, that sort of thing as well?
Sure, that's a great question. So this kind of bounces back to Kaylee and the importance of the fact that seasonal affective disorder is part of a depressive disorder. So it does need to be in conjunction with being seen by a licensed health professional and any other treatment recommendations that maybe they're recommending as well. So conjunction is best, yes.
And another piece to just go off of that, light box therapy is incredibly helpful for some, but it's not a cure, right?
Okay.
So it basically helps with symptom management by easing symptom severity. I wanted to add that in too, because that's another helpful piece.
That is important. That there's a difference between there's different functions for different things, and that's important to know that's what this is doing. So, we know that there's a lot of people that deal with SAD at varying degrees, varying levels. We know that there's lots of different ways to approach it, and Lightbox is one of them. But if you're a student on UIC's campus, UIUC. If you're on UIUC's campus and you're wanting to find out more information, or you wanted to give it a try, or just that kind of thing, what resources can we offer here at McKinley?
That's a great question. So here at McKinley, you can call and you can schedule an appointment with your primary care physician, letting them know that you're interested in Lightbox therapy. Then you're going to get connected with myself or with Kaylee, and you're actually going to get to check out a Lightbox for 2 weeks so that you can try Lightbox therapy and see if it does work for you. A lot of people notice a difference within 3 or 4 days of use consistently. In addition to that, McKinley's YouTube channel has a SAD video that's beneficial, and in general, the campus's mental health resources are great.
So if a student is thinking that they're possibly dealing with seasonal affective disorder, and they call and they want to make an appointment, and nurses start asking triage questions, what are you dealing with? What do they say? How do you describe this if you're trying to make an appointment? Not necessarily saying what to say, but what are the things that providers are looking for to hear? What should a student be coming with other than just, I don't feel very good right now? How do they describe this situation?
Sure, just being open and honest about your symptom and symptom management and severity. So if you're really feeling down and depressed and you haven't slept well, just be honest about, I haven't slept, for X amount of days, and I've only slept for 1 to 2 hours a night, and this is what's going on, and just be open and honest with your providers, because otherwise they don't exactly know how they can best help you. And maybe mention that you've heard of seasonal affective disorder and wondered if that might be a cause for this. But yeah, just going back off that the symptoms I listed earlier, and again, like you were saying, Matt, you don't always know what you have, right? But that's why there's mental health professionals, and there's just, medical professionals in general, because we are here to help assist you with those kinds of decisions and questions and things like that.
Yeah, I would also add onset, so being specific about when these symptoms started. So if you've never experienced this before, and then all of a sudden, lights decreased and it's rainy and it's cold, and you just realized, man, I haven't gotten out of the bed in 3 days. And it's only started, within the fall hours in the decrease in sunlight. That's really important in letting us know, oh, this really could just be mainly a seasonal affective disorder or winter blues that has exacerbated into seasonal affective disorder. So if you can really pinpoint when this started, then that is beneficial as well.
I really appreciate you saying that, because as you said it triggered in my head. I was like, oh yeah, that's really smart. That's really good, because you both said, Murata, you said about onset, and Kaylee, you said about being honest about who you are and where you are, because they can look different for every person. And so seasonal affective disorder may affect one person where they don't sleep. It may affect the next person where they only sleep. And that's a big change. It is a matter of the onset of when it comes on. So that, yeah, if you're listening and something has changed and there is a sudden, I feel different, that might be the thing that you need to monitor or need to look at, or you can call and get an appointment about. Unfortunately, we're almost out of time. We always get these topics and I always want to dive deep into them, but this is just the start of the conversation. If you would like to follow up more, we have contact information in our episode bio. We have contact information in the podcast bio. We'll have resources there. Feel free to reach out. Ask to talk to Murata or Kaylee, or they can help direct this traffic as well. I thank you both for being here so much today. I really appreciate you talking to me today.
Thank you so much.
Fall is a shift in seasons, and it affects people in different ways, and some people it affects a lot. And seasonal affective disorder is a very real concern for many students and for staff and for people just in general. And McKinley wants to be a part of that discussion. So whether it's about light box therapy or trying to find some other route, we have professionals here at McKinley that are here to help. And if you'd like to know more, set up an appointment, give some feedback. As I said before, resources are listed in the description of the episode and in our podcast description. But thank you for joining us today. You are on a personal journey, no matter where you are in it. You are important. You matter. Your health and wellness are important and matter. And we are here to keep you well to excel. So go have a great week, Illini. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll catch you next time on Healthy Illini.